Now I just want to take some time, like maybe 10-15 minutes, just to talk about how you actually build a Kickstarter. So here we have our account, and alright, so when you first start a Kickstarter, the most important thing is to have an idea and actually have it more than just in the conception phase. You actually want to make sure you have something of substance before you actually even get to this step, because you want to make sure whatever you're going to put on here is a real thing. It's close to finish, because the closer it is to production and manufacturing, the more likely you're going to get people to buy in, especially when you explain the reason for the Kickstarter, what's going on. You show them actual proof of it. You give them a chance to actually see it, sometimes even demo it if you're doing a game. So you need that stuff way before you even get to the Kickstarter, because a Kickstarter really is a marketing tool more than a funding tool, because Kickstarter helps you build your community, helps you get your project known, helps you get feedback so you can iterate and make improvements, so on and so forth. So in this case, let's say we're making a game. So next, let's say project idea. So let's see, flight game. Let's see, VR. Flight game with VR capabilities. Take to the skies and find out the dark secrets hidden in this world of game. I'm just trying to think of a name, because I literally can't even can't even, yeah. Because I literally can't, and that's not what I want to do. Alright, location, let's select my country. That, yeah, you have to check this. Yes I can. Yes I can. Yes I can. Alright. So, now here are the most important parts. When actually making a Kickstarter, you actually have to follow the rules. And the rules are simple. Don't be a joke. But if you want to get deeper, it's basically like you want to make something that you want to share with others, that you want people to actually be a part of the experience, to be part of a community, to feel like they're involved through the process. That's why it's important to be later on, because you want to really have your main idea set. The experience and like influence you want from your community is to take it over the top, to add that extra oomph to it, to make it into something that's even better than when it first got on here. Honesty, don't lie. Again, don't be a joke. Let's see. Projects can't fundraise for charity. Yes, that makes sense. Projects can't offer equity. Yep, that makes sense too. Projects can't involve prohibitive items. Now, this is going to be a new one to me. Yep, that's not happening. Contest coupons, nope. Nope. Offensive material, nope. Nope. Live animals, nope. I can't even afford to offer live animals. Food free financing, no. Political fundraising, no. Pornographic material, no. Projects that promote discrimination, bigotry, and intolerance to marginal groups, no. Share things that already exist, no. Resale, no. Nope. Nope. I mean, technically, if you're Gambit from the X-Men, though, playing cards are a weapon. But that's not the point. So, we got it. Boom, rules, we understand. Link a bank account. That we're not going to do here, because, you know, security risks. Promotion, so this will generate and activate your pre-launch page. Then they give you a lot of tips for if you actually want to make stuff. Let's go into basics though. title. We're going to call this Sky Adventures. And can't even, Again, this isn't a real thing. It's clearly a video game. But this is just to give you guys an idea of how you would actually build this. Project location, let's say New York, New York. Then you would upload your project image, videos, which, again, hot tip. You're going to do a Kickstarter. It's actually better to have a video because people resonate more with a video and seeing a video on here. So again, if your goal is a video, like to get people interested in your project and hitting your goal, the best way to do it is video. Video helps people understand what you're trying to push, what you're selling. It gives people a chance to resonate with it, and a video can actually be a really strong tool to capturing people and getting people on board. Calculator. This is important because this helps figure out all your costs. Cost of development, if they're labor costs, manufacturing, so on and so forth. But you need to make sure you are upfront what the costs are covering. If your costs are just covering manufacturing, you make it clear, hey, this is what it's covering. It needs to pay for the supplies and stuff, shipping, this, working with this, storing in a warehouse, so on and so forth. Physical games have a lot higher cost than people realize. Digital games also have a higher cost because of development and time and stuff like that. That's why whenever a digital games Kickstarter goes over $1 million, that's always good because it guarantees people can put 100% of their time into the project. If a project's goals are like 100,000, that's not going to cover full-time development in a certain time span. That's why a lot of these Kickstarter games say a date, but they don't really hard commit to the date. It's a goal they're trying for, but at the end of the day, it's not guaranteed to actually launch on that, which leads to the next point, target launch date. If you put one, be realistic. If you're not going to make your launch date, be honest. Those are the two most important things you can do. By doing that, you actually show your community that you really care about what you're developing. You really are putting the effort and time in, and you really want it to be a product that not only you could be proud of, but they could be proud of because they help bring it to life. They're now part of the journey with you. That's why when certain Kickstarters do way above and beyond, it's actually better because now you have developers and things like the staff. You can get more people hired. You can have people focusing on your project, on the project full time. That's important because being able to focus on the project full time means that you can actually get it done in a more reasonable time without having to worry. It's like, man, I sure hope I have a job, starting, when this is done or before, anything like that. It's just like they can focus. Otherwise, it's going to take a longer development time because, unfortunately, this is an important priority to them, but roof over house is always going to take priority over like getting this out in like a quick fashion because they have to focus on what needs to be done. But again, as a creator, you need to keep your community in the know. If this isn't your primary date 9 to 5, you need to let them know, hey, this is the progress. This is what's going on. This isn't my 9 to 5. But I want you to know that this is what's being worked on. Which leads me to the next point to talk about, which is campaign duration. This is a biggie. Campaign duration is very, very, very important to get right. You shouldn't launch a Kickstarter if you're not ready to go. It does hurt the reputation of the project. Also, you don't want to set it too many days out because people will forget about it. 30 days is your sweet spot because those 30 days is a single month that you're dedicating to marketing the living daylights out of this project. Your goal should be to, every day this is running, to get people involved, because there's two times where your Kickstarter is going to generate a lot of funds. It's going to be in the very beginning when it first launches, and it's going to be at the very end, the last few days when it's about to finish. In between, you'll see lulls, ups and downs, spikes and things like that. But those 2 points are your key prime points. That's why you want to come out strong with a great marketing pitch, video, and get people, grab their attention as soon as you can. Once you have their attention, you have to be involved during these 30 days, because, again, anything more than 30, one, you're going to burn yourself out having to work the extra time. Two, people will forget about it. 60 days is way too long. 30 days is the sweet spot. If you really feel like this project's going to hit the ground running and you have everything set, then do something like 25 days. Don't go any less than 25 either, unless you already have a lot of people stirred up interest and you know as soon as you set it live, it's going to blow out the water. 30 days is your sweet spot, period. And again, it's a whole month that you can focus specifically on marketing your project, being involved with the community, and so on and so forth. So that'll cover our basic sections. Now, rewards. This is different than what do you call those? Goals? Not goals. I mean, they are goals. Stretch goals. That's right, stretch goals. Your rewards are, if people spend a certain amount of money on your Kickstarter, you're going to give them some kind of reward, basically. With games, it usually makes sense that if they want to get a digital copy of the game, like the PDFs with all the cards and everything, what you do then is, that usually like a lower goal because there's no manufacturing costs involved. So it could be like digitally maybe $10 for a card game. If they want a physical version of it, then it'd be something like $20, $25, depending on your manufacturing costs and what makes sense for actually charging for that specific game. So you want to be reasonable with your goals. You want to actually be make sure you're priced properly in your goals. And if you're going to put ridiculously high goals, you need to have something ridiculously worth it. You're rewarding people for backing this project. You're giving them something that no one else can get because they put their money down to help you bring this thing to life. That's why it's important to make sure you do put your money where your mouth is and offer rewards that are feasible. If you're going to offer some crazy rewards, you really, 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 really need to make sure you can back it up. For games, though, if you're releasing a game, it makes sense that one of your rewards is a copy of the game. Be it digital, physical, tabletop, console, PC, whatever type of game, doesn't matter. It does make sense to offer a game as the reward, or whatever product you're producing, honestly, on Kickstarter. It should be one of the rewards at, honestly, less than MSRP. Because they supported you, they got on early, they believed in the vision before it even got produced. You want to get as close to offering them what your manufacturing costs are as possible, because that's more incentive for more people to get involved and get in. However, those who don't, you charge them MSRP. That's why when you're making a Kickstarter, you always want to make sure those kinds of things. And then you can also do add-ons. So if you're interested in doing add-ons, that's like, hey, you did this reward, you get these things. If you're interested in add-ons, you can put in more money, like this much more per add-on you want added on. So when we send backer kit, which is another thing that'll handle post Kickstarter stuff, which will be a talk for another day. Once you do that, then it can be like, oh, okay, boom, I already did the add-on, so now I just have, when I get there, I just select the add-ons that I paid for, and then submit, and then boom, they get the rewards with the specific add-ons they want. Story. This is one of the most important parts of it all, which is, let's see. So, this is just talking about environmental commitments. So it's like, is it going to be sustainable, environmentally friendly factories, so on and so forth. It's letting people know that you're there for the environment. But your project description is the most important part, because this is where you talk about your project. This is your selling point. It's not just one paragraph rules them all. It's really more like paragraph, image, paragraph, image, maybe another image, paragraph. The point is that you want to make sure that you just really populate this with lots and lots of stuff, because then you're going to do your rewards, stretch goals, meet the team, and that's the point. This is a fully detailed thing. You're literally listing everything under the sun that you want your community and the people you want involved to know about your project. Which means you should be providing images about what your product looks like, details on how it works, videos even of what's going on in there, and that's why they have image, video, audio. Like if you're working on an album, what's a sample track or a little snippet of a clip or beat? That's important. This is your bread and butter of your campaign. This is where everything that needs to be known and shown and really catch people's attention needs to be. That's why images are important. At least 3 images. A video where possible. Videos are very helpful in terms of showing what's going on. If you have stretch goals, make sure they're reasonable. You don't want to set some crazy stretch goal that is unfeasible and it's not scalable, and you end up having to take more money out of your own personal pocket because you didn't plan properly for it. That's why money people help. Always have someone who can help you work out the numbers. Risks and challenges. This is also an important part. You also want to list what potential risks, challenges, budgeting, things like timelines, the stuff that could be a potential issue for your project. You want to make it known, hey, these are the things we're facing. This is what the budget looks like. This is why we need the budget. This is what other things will go to. This is why more is needed, and so on and so forth. That's why this is the second most important thing you need to take your time and figure out, calculate, do the math on, and fill out properly. Alright, so that's that. Next, people. This is where you let people know who you are, who the team is, what are your URLs, things like that. Where can they find you, your website, more about you and the projects you're working on. So this is involved. This is the stuff you should have done way before you even get to Kickstarter. You should have a website if you're planning on pushing a product. You should have a YouTube if you're interested in pushing a product and you have a video to show or demos and stuff to show. Like if you have other collaborators, you want to list those people down. You want to get the team in here. And then the last bit is all your payment stuff, which this is usual payment information stuff. You guys got that. So this just is about your project, just preparing for launch, all the pre-launch stuff, which is your URL once you submit for review, because you have to submit it to be reviewed before you can launch it. So yeah, you could just launch a lackluster Kickstarter. They could approve it, but you're not going to necessarily guarantee that it's backed. And that's the thing. Pre-launch page, if you want to have a pre-launch page to start generating some minor hype, get people involved about when it's going to launch, have them sign up for a newsletter so they get the notice as soon as it launches. They'll get a notice as hey, it's go time. Let's do this. And that's great because it gets you in people's ears earlier too. This is better than having a longer Kickstarter campaign. Having a pre-launch page lets you get that time in advance where you're in your user's ear before the Kickstarter actually launches, because you're also not on a timer then. So that's always great to have. And Google Analytics, you should always, always, always put analytics on any of your websites. And being able to put it on your Kickstarter is key because it lets you know what's going down. So that covers the gist of what's really required to start your own Kickstarter. And let's see, they have the creator handbook, but my favorite section here is games. Go all the way down, and they actually tell you what, like, they give you articles to talk about making tabletop games, what goes into it, the work. Like, they actually share content that is actually made. And this, oh my gosh, this goes back to one of my earliest YouTube videos. Playtest, playtest, playtest. It's the most important thing for anything you're making. Have them playtest the living daylights out of it, because that is the most important thing they can do. I just remembered what I need to write on my project thing later, because it just reminded me. And let me just write this down, because I just remembered that one of the games that I don't plan on kickstarting unless people would be interested in supporting it. That's something to think about later, but I do have a game that I want to make into something more than it is. I'm thinking potentially, well, it's definitely going to be for at least some kind of console and PC. Probably Switch and PC seem like the best options for it. But basically, it's a project I started a long time ago. Kind of iced it because it's like, did enough for it. It was for a game jam. But I kind of want to do more with it. Should I have another game too? Oof. So I have those things. But again, playtest. If you're doing a game, you want to playtest. But the best part is, Kickstarter doesn't want you to fail. They give you resources to help you succeed. Use the tips. They even go into games. Creator basics, tip for running a great games Kickstarter, so on and so forth. Drafting your game projects. So while this is just a quick overview, you really especially want to look at what materials they're providing. Kickstarter gives really good information. If they're giving a talk, sign up for it. They're really good talks. So that's enough of Kickstarter chit chat. So hopefully that's been helpful to everyone. And again, if you're interested in learning more about Kickstarter and things like that, let me know. Leave a comment below or wherever. And again, I try to do more of this stuff, talking about game development and things like that. And if you're interested in learning more about game development, from not just the actual building process and development, coding, art side, but just from also the production that goes into it, things like that, marketing, so on and so forth, subscribe to the channel. I'm always talking about this kind of stuff. This stuff interests me because I like games. I like making games. Eventually, I'd like to sell games, big old fancy games, with a big old team of people one day. But for now, we'll start little. Start small. Game jams, indie, sky, limit.